Hi, I'm Dustin Abbott, and I'm here today to give you my review of the EarFun Air Pro 4 active noise canceling earbuds. I have to confess, I am a bit of a sucker for earbuds in general. I have long loved the idea, particularly of Bluetooth wireless buds, and I have used and reviewed a lot of them at this point. And I really particularly like active noise canceling earbuds for all of the additional versatility that they bring for helping you to have listening enjoyment in a wider variety of environments. But biggest downside of ANC earbuds, they tend to be very pricey. And that's part of what makes the EarFun Air Pro 4s really awesome. And that is the fact that you can, on top of all the other factors they have going for them, you can get them for under 70 bucks. And so that makes them a very tempting set of buds for you to consider. And here's why. Well, let's start by talking about what's in the box. So obviously you have your charge case, the buds themselves, and pretty typically you have got a variety of different tips that are here. You've got a total of 4 additional options in addition to what's already on there, and you have a charge cable. Now, it's not the most packed box that I've ever seen before, but you've got all the basics and a bit of customization there. Now, the buds themselves also have 6 internal microphones along with AI processing to allow you not only to get great sound, but also to help with the actual active noise cancellation. These are more of an Apple AirPod style design with the stick that is coming down, and which also has the microphone when it comes for your speech down towards the base, which obviously puts it down a little bit closer to your mouth and helping with a little bit with the microphone quality there. One of the main reasons why I agreed to do these buds is not do the review of them was not just the fact that they were active noise canceling and a good price, but also I was really impressed with the overall battery life. These are rated for up to 11 hours of playback, which I think may be the longest, particularly at least for an active noise canceling, longest that I've ever seen. Now, obviously, depending on your active noise cancellation, it is up to. So that means that there are certain modes that are going to deplete that battery life down a little bit, and so be aware of that. But if you're just in normal mode using these buds, you can get up to 11 hours of playback, and then using the charge case, you can get up to 52 hours total. And so that is a pretty impressive time you can go before you need a charger any kind. By the way, even when they get towards running low, you can just put them back in the charge case for as little as 10 minutes. And in 10 minutes, you can get up to 2 hours of additional playback, which could be really helpful if you just happen to be in that frustrating situation where you start to get the low battery notification. Pop them back in the case, even for a short little while, and you'll be able to keep going for quite a bit. The actual charge case here, there is a USB-C case or cable that is included. It's a USB-A to USB-C style cable. You can obviously charge it that way, but interestingly, you can also just drop it on top of any kind of wireless charging pad, and you can also inductively charge it that way. So those are some of the basic specifications. Let's talk about the different ways that I tested them over the last about 6 weeks. I use them for the traditional earbud things, listening to music, listening to audiobooks and podcasts. I use them for video playback, all the typical things that I do with earbuds. I use them while working, including working with using power tools. I've been doing a lot of different construction projects, and so I've used them extensively in that kind of environment. I've used them while running. I've used them while riding my e-bike for long distances and up to speeds of 28 miles per hour, which means you get a fair amount of wind noise when you're moving along that quickly. And so I've used them in a little bit more challenging environment like that. I've used them in work environments where there's a lot of environmental noise around me, and I was trying to block out that kind of sound. I've used them for Zoom meetings, and I've used them to try to either listen to audio content or to watch movie content in my jacuzzi tub where there's the noise of the jets and the motor going on. So with all of those different situations, let's talk about the things that stood out to me that I liked. One of the things that I liked about these compared to another pair of active noise cancellation earbuds that I've recently reviewed, which were the Soundcore Liberty 3, is I had a hard time getting a fit that was comfortable for me personally with the Liberty 3s. In this case, right out of the box, they fit and worked well. In fact, I felt no need to move to any other kind of tip combination. Now, part of that is just the luck of the draw, so to speak, but I've been able to wear these for very long periods of time, working on a job site for 6, 7, 8 hours in a row with it in the whole time, and they stay comfortable to me. So I really like that. The active noise cancellation modes here are distinct. Some of the early active noise cancellation, it's kind of hard sometimes to tell when it was working, when it wasn't working. But in this case, these modes are very distinct and they work very well. I like the fact that I could program the sequence of different options into actual touch, and so that I can actively switch between those modes. And you do have some degree of customization on the active noise cancellation modes in terms of the environment you're working in, even with your own hearing, and so that you can make sure to tailor a sound quality that's going to work well for you. The fact that you have the transparency mode, which is one of my favorite things about active noise cancellation buds, the transparency mode can be really, really helpful, and so that you can have a conversation without having to take the bud out, or if someone starts to talk to you right while you're in the middle of engaging with content in some way, if you're in an environment where that might happen, it allows you to have that conversation without them, yelling at you and waving to try to get your attention. And so I appreciate that. Active noise cancellation buds are very useful in helping to mitigate conflict with my wife. And so it's part of why I appreciate them. I also noted, and as I've already kind of alluded to, the battery life in real-world use was clearly superior, particularly with ANC active, to the Soundcore Liberty 3 buds. I don't love having the extra shaft sticking down on these AirPod style designs, but it's obvious that extra room helps. And so while using them while working kind of long days doing construction, I found that the Liberty 3s would start to tap out before I was ready to tap out. Meanwhile, when I wore these, they were able to last the whole workday, even if I was having to use active noise cancellation. So that is fantastic. I would say that I would give the edge to the Liberty 3s when it comes to overall sound quality, but the reality is that the sound quality here is very good. Very good for music, good for movie and video type content. There really isn't just a lot to complain about. There's a lot of different equalization modes, and so you can choose a sound that works well for you, a good amount of low end. Overall, I was impressed with the sound quality itself. These do have support for multi-point connection, and so I can connect to both my iPhone and my iPad, for example, and I don't have to, disengage and deactivate one to activate the other, but they can both be simultaneously connected, and I can just initially start by pressing play on whatever device I want playback on, and that's what will make the active connection. So I really, really like that. I also found that they worked effectively to be able to block out the sound of jets in the jacuzzi, and so that I could more reasonably watch a movie in that. When running, I found that the thudding is actually fairly low. And what I mean by thudding is when you're running along, your foot falls. In some earbuds, it's just, you hear this just kind of thud, thud, thud in your ears all the time. It's very disconcerting. I found that these did fairly well for that. Initially, I had some wind noise, but just by cycling through the modes, I found something that worked for me. And for both wind noise while running and while cycling, ironically, the best mode for me was actually the standard mode without ANC active, and for whatever reason that did a better job of blocking out wind noise than with any of the ANC modes active. And so anyway, I was able to get the result that I wanted. I find that when doing Zoom type meetings using transparency mode, I actually find I feel like I'm more engaged, where I can still hear a little bit of that, the environmental sound around me, and so it keeps me from feeling that really kind of numb, disconnected feeling. I don't love being in meetings in that kind of way, but if I have to do it, being able to have transparency mode makes me feel a little more connected to the real world. So I appreciated that. Another thing that I like that really stood out to me is that they do connect very, very quickly. Essentially, by the time you've got it to your ear, it's already connected and ready to go. Very, very good there. There's also a whole lot of different codecs that are available for different kinds of applications. aptX, LE, LEDAC, on and on it goes. There's a lot of different options there. Also through the app itself, the app is pretty good, and there is a high level of customization for your controls. I could set up the controls the exact same way that I wanted, which is nice because then I could match them up through different buds that I use. And so all of them control the same way. That means muscle memory. I'm having repeatability. I also found that equalization, there was good customization modes for that, for, to be able to tailor it for my specific hearing. And just in overall operation, just a lot of different controls there in the app and on the actual earbuds themselves. So all of those things add up to a lot of things that I have liked, and I've liked these buds in many ways more and more as I've used them. But of course, never is there any device that's completely perfect. So there were a few things that stood out to me that I didn't like as well as some other buds. I found that the ANC is just not quite as effective in certain environments as the Soundcore Liberty 3 that I've recently referred to. The biggest area that stood out to me is that I've noted I've been working a lot with power tools. There are certain kind of power tools that really just threw the whole active noise cancellation for a loop. I like having active noise cancellation in that environment to protect my hearing, because you can drop the environmental noise levels by as close as 50 decibels, which is very significant for protecting your hearing. But what I found is that there are certain kind of repetitive sounds that it just didn't have a chance. It wasn't just kind of like a routine, constant sound, which ANC does better with. And so it would be somewhat jarring sometimes as it tried to match up with that. I also found that while I love the ability to have dual connection to the two different devices, it can be really annoying if you're kind of working on the periphery of where your secondary device that you don't really want to be connected to, in this case often my iPad. If I was working out in my yard, I would continually walk kind of back and forth in between the edge of the range of connecting. And so I would hear, connected to device, disconnected. The reality is what I really wanted to be connected to was my phone, which was in my pocket, and I was staying constantly connected to that. It was the secondary device that it was connecting and disconnecting from. So that can be a little bit annoying if you just happen to be in that zone where you're right on the edge of that range. My conclusion is this. The price right now on Amazon is $70. There's a discount code in the description down below that'll bring the price down to about $66.50 right now. These are a huge value at that price. They have really good sound quality. They have fully functional active noise cancellation. And even if it's not the very best that I've used, it's very good in most environments. These are feature rich, they sound good. It's a lot of bang for the buck here, and that battery life is fantastic for ANC buds. So well worth the consideration if you're in the market looking for some right now. If you want more information, you can look at the description down below and find links to purchase links, and also where you can do a little bit more research there. As always, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and let the light in.